Namaste. Welcome to my Panchangam channel. My name is Dr. Srinivas Kedam. I'm your host today. This channel is dedicated to share a lot of information about Sanatana Dharma, some information that not many people are aware of it. So one of those topics that today will be sharing is Naalayira Divya Prabandham. Naalayira Divya Prabandham is a compilation of 4,000 verses by South Indian saints. They are called Alvars. They are the greatest devotees of Sri Mahavishnu, and they composed, not just composing, but also they sung beautiful poetry on the glories of Sriman Narayana and his incarnations, many of his incarnations, and so that people are aware of it, what it is, and how to reach Bhagavan, how to reach Sri Mahavishnu, how to worship him, and what devotion it means, and so on. They're hidden with so many secrets. So stay tuned to listen to this wonderful discussion with our guest today. So I'll introduce him in a minute. And by listening to this show today, by watching this show also today, you will learn something that actually you are not aware of it before. And I said, wow, is there an angle to that one? And also too, about how to reach a Bhagavan and so on too. So I mean, those kind of secrets are going to be shared by our distinguished guest today. And our distinguished guest today is Sriman Padmanabhan Ramanayangar, and we fondly call him as a Paddy. He has been a good friend of mine for a long time, and we are really blessed to have him today. And Sriman Padmanabhan Swami got initiated into Naalayira Divya Prabandham from Ubhay Vedanti Vadayar Sheshayangar of Thiruvananthapuram, who's well respected Samavedi, means he's a master of Samaveda. So, and without further ado, I welcome Sriman Padmanabhan Ramayangar to the show. Namaskaram, Padmanabhan Swami. Welcome to the show.
Adiyan Das and Dr. Srinivas, really appreciate you inviting for this My Pancham channel. Thank you. என்னுயர்ந்தளித்தவரை சரணம்புக்கு யானடைவேன் அவகுருக்கள் நிறைவணங்கி பின்னருளால் பெரும்போதூர் வந்தவள்ளல் பெரிய நம்பி ஆள வந்தார் மணக்கால் நம்பி நன்னறி அவர் குறை தொய்யக் கொண்டார் நாதவன் ஷடகோபன் சேனைநாதன் இன்னமுத திருமகள் என்றி வரை முன்னிட்டு எம்பெருமான் திருவடிகளை அடைகின்றேனே.
Dhanyasmi Swamin, that sounds beautiful and melodious and very reverent, and it's kind of a goosebumps when you recite those Tanyans, we call them. Can you explain more why often I also saw many people before even they start pravachanam or talk or any kind of a discussion, they tend to chant some before a slokam, or maybe we call it as Tanyam and so on. For our guests, could you please explain why we have to do that one? What is the significance of that particular verse you just said just now? Thank you.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it is our tradition and practice to first to pray to our acharyas before starting any program for a successful, of the program, right? And depending upon your lineage, you can choose I mean, of course, if you are chanting a particular prabandham, then you are expected to recite the Kalyan of that prabandham. Today, I just chose this one because this verse is composed by Swami Vedanta Deshika, right? One of the greatest acharya of the Vaishnava lineage. Now, if you look at this, it's like 8 lines. He just condenses everything that we do. We start with acharya, right? And in this, he starts from like if you're an individual, from you may have like a series of acharyas. I belong to Abhilamadam. You belong to Pragalamada. Somebody is going to belong to Andavanashrama. Somebody may be like Swayamacharya. Whatever it is. The beauty of this Dhanyan is from you. It starts with you and then connects a series of acharyas all the way to Ramanuja, because many streams finally join at Sri Ramanuja level, and from Sri Ramanuja it just says tuck 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 all the way to Taya and then to Perumal, because Perumal, Sriman Narayana is the Paramacharya, is the number one paramount acharya. So anything that we do, this Tani is always chanted, and the reason I chose is when we in our Nitya Karma Anushtanam, Before we start even Bhagavad Aradhanam, we actually do this. In our Jabam, we do this. And I really want to bring to our audience today saying the importance of the kind of weightage and importance we give to our Acharya lineage cannot be overemphasized.
Oh, Dhanyas Saman. Yes, exactly what you said is right. I belong to Sri Paragalamadam. By the way, my friends, guests who are here, who are watching this show, know that no, we are talking about a Sri Vaishnava Sampradayam today. So some of the words that you see, like Perumal, Taniyan, and Pasurams, so they sound like probably strange words to you. So what Padmanabhan Swamin is mentioning is, I said Padmanabhan Swamin, right? That is a reverence, a respect that we give it to each other. So what is referring is Sri Vaishnava Sampradayam. Every Sampradayam means every tradition has a guru. It starts with their own guru. I mean, I would not necessarily the founder doesn't have to be the founder, but who are passing on actually the philosophy, like we call it Sri Vaishnava. Sri Vaishnavism in Vishishtadvaitam, Ramanujacharya, right? So our, of course, Perumal, when he said that one, Bhagavan, Sriman Narayana, Sri Mahavishnu is our Adi Guru. Then from then, all the Acharya lineages comes, and we want to be always thankful to Gurus. That is the most important aspects of this Sanatana Dharma. So we should never ever forget our Gurus because they contributed so much to us. Who we are, what we are today is just because of the Gurus only. So I think when we come into this Guru, today's topic is going to be, as I said, Naalayira Divya Prabandham. So I know I introduced you a little bit. Naalayira Divya Prabandham, 4,000 verses. Divya Prabandham, it is a great the text, call it as, right? So we'll learn more details from Sriman Padmanabhan Swami. Padmanabhan Swami, can you please explain to our audience, what is this Naalayira Divya Prabandham and what it includes? What does it have it? Please, give us some awareness of it. Thank you.
Yeah. Again, you put me on a big task here because you asked me to explain like such a huge, if you look at like type of ocean kind of a topic, but today we just like I take maybe a few droplets of a sample, okay? So again, I'll go back to Swami Desika. It typically, Dr. Srinivas, as a Vaishnavite, when you eat, like you do Abhivandanam, right?
Mm.
We say what Gotra and all what Veda Shaka you belong to. Swami Deshiga very clearly says, he says, I would like to declare that I belong to Tamil Marai, which is the entire Naalayira Divya Prabandham, which is basically the essence of the four Vedas, like, you say Rig, Yajur, Sama, and other one Veda, right? All these
Mhm.
Vedas, all the concepts, the theory behind it, the entire deep meaning is actually condensed into Tamil form. So it is called Tamil Veda. Basically, it is Vedas like the Sanskrit version, and you got Tamil version of it. Now, the best thing, as I said, like when you do Abhivandanam, for me, I will say I'm Ejishahari, right? But Swami Desika says, you like to say, hey, I am a Tamil Marai. I belong to Tamil Marai. That much when things he gives importance to this Naalayira Diva Prabandham. Now, when you say Naalayira Diva Prabandham, the Naalayiram basically says 4,000. It's pretty easy to understand. And Prabandham basically means collection of various subtext or sub chapters, something like that. And the key word here is divyam. Because when you say divyam, we can explain something about, it is so tasteful, colorful, blah, blah, blah. But unless you experience it, because even let me introduce about the authors, so like the Alvars. There are 12 Alvars plus Swami Ramanuja. So between this 13 set of people, or say people, they are great Alvars. They composed all this, and down the history, I think it was, I mean, the humanity had lost many of this text, and finally it was recovered by a great Acharya called Natha, and he codified saying this is Mudalayam, which is first thousand, and then you say all the Kaliyan Pasarams are called the second thousand, and Tiruvaimuri, which is by Nammalvar, is called the third thousand, and all the remaining collection of Pasarams are called Yerpa, which is the fourth thousand. That is how, first thousand, second thousand, third thousand, and fourth thousand are done. As I said, there are 12 alvars, and these alvars are actually even quoted in Srimad Bhagavata saying, in this yuga, near this particular river, they may say Kaveri, this river and all that, these alvars will be born, and they will creating this Tamil Veda called Naalayira Prabandham.
Beautiful, wonderful. So, I just wanted to summarize a little bit here and there, and I know there are 12 Alvars. Alvars are none other than Mahavishnu Bhaktas. So they sung the glories of Sri Mahavishnu. Okay? And they are all in poetic form. So sung, out of joy, out of devotion to their God, Vishnu Avataram, like Sri Mahavishnu, Sriman Narayana, Rama Avataram, Narsimha Avataram, Krishna Avataram, Vamana Avataram, Varaha Avataram, and so on. Dashavataras, basically. And then probably they may have covered other ones also. I'm sure as we dive deep into the Prabandham, we will be able to learn. And this has to be learned from acharyas, obviously, because, going back to one point I want to cover is that one, it is an ocean that you mentioned, that right, it is an ocean. If you take Sanatana Dharma itself is a not just ocean, it's a compilation of millions and billions of ocean. That is the knowledge that we have. So we're so grateful to have been in Sanatana Dharma, have that kind of knowledge, and so on. So now, you said that one, this is in Tamil, right? So do I need to know Tamil to be able to read that one, or is that okay? Is it available in other languages? What about those people who are interested in, maybe Telugu, Kannada, or Hindi, or Devanagari, or some other languages? So how would non-Tamil people, get to read or even listen to this and understand?
Yeah, the original text is in Tamil, but thanks to our modern times, Sundar Kadami Swamin has created a fantastic site called prabhati.com, where if you go search for Naalayira Divya Prabandham, you can download all the text in various languages. And I can also tell you, I'm a witness to, like, when, Dr. Srinivas, we have this last 20 years, a Goshti going in Seattle called Seattle Nala Divaprabandha Goshti. Very simple to understand, right? Because we're based in Seattle and we are a Goshti, and our main focus is Nala Divaprabandham. And there are people with, like, when they started off, like you said, they had no clue what the Divaprabandha is about, but they go to prabhati.com, download whichever version they want. I've seen people downloading English, I've seen people downloading Sanskrit version, and I think you are you would have downloaded Telugu, and they come
Yes.
down to the Goshti and then chant along with it. There's no training all going on. Just along with that because all about Perumal experience, right? So with
Yes.
keeping Acharya as our thing, we just do the service. And Perumal and Acharya in their infinite mercy accept as little simple kids, like, 1 year old, 2 year old, 2 year old. So whatever we say, they enjoy. So in that mode, we learn. And I can tell you, there are people just reading from an English text, and then over a period of time, you won't know that they are reading from an English text. They are as good as people reading from a Tamil text. So that is one thing. Language is not a barrier. Another thing is what we mentioned about Rig, Yajur, Samaveda. There are certain stipulations. Only certain people can read and then chant. Correct? And again, this Divya Prabandham, the Nala Divya Prabandham is created basically again out of infinite mercy from Lord Vishnu, right? When you say
Yes.
Alvars, they are all manifestations of Lord Vishnu in different form. There's a Shankar, Chakra, and if you look at the of all the 12 Alvars, if you want to say, I want to say, give me one chief, that'll be called Lamarvar. He just is embodiment of all the remaining Alvars. He is actually manifestation of Vishwaksena. So, I mean, because, Perumal knows down the line, people may not be that scholarly enough to learn Vedas. That's why this has come. So, the Tamil Veda or Tamil Marai is open to all. There is no language barrier. There is no gender barrier. Everything, everybody in this Bulaga, in this planet Earth, are expected to read and get the benefit out of Narayan Prabandham.
Beautiful. That's exactly, that was questioning that was coming into my mind was, people often ask me the question, oh, can I read this Veda? Why can't I read this Veda? Why can't I learn Veda? People have those kind of questions, right? And I think you answered that one very well, saying that when anybody, it doesn't matter, caste, creed, and we got the gender, anybody can be able to access and as well as read and learn from learned scholars, acharyas. So that is a beauty of Prabandha. Why it is, to my knowledge, I think Padmanabhan Swami will correct a little bit later if I'm wrong. So this is what I learned from my Gosti. When we mentioned about Gosti read, Gosti means it's a group of people who have the common the goal of worshipping Bhagavan and as well as attaining the knowledge. Attaining the knowledge. Knowledge is not material knowledge. We are talking about knowledge in the sense we call it as knowledge is knowledge only. It is about Bhagavan. then itself is a knowledge. So that is called actually ghosty. That's what Swami was mentioning. Like in Seattle, we formed. I was actually one of the founders. I would say that. So proudly say that, founders, and as well along with the Padmanabhan Swami's guidance and so on, we are able to build it, and so many tens and tens of them actually have become actually a large ghosty. And that having, oh, by the way, I must tell you, subscribers, what do you think actually, my guests and viewers who are here? I think, isn't it fascinating? I myself am learning so much too, and I can see that when these are the questions that come to me often. I can guarantee say that you have learned something new today. So why don't you subscribe? Because I have a plan. We have a plan. Our team, Manpachangam team, has a great plan of actually bringing so many topics such Srimad Bhagavatam, Ramayanam, Bhagavad Gita, you name it. I have actually for 1 year we have actually a series of topics that are lined up, and I want to bring actually, or we want our team wants to bring some learned scholars like Padmanabhan Swami to come and talk about all these topics. So better you subscribe, and as well as share with the other some of your friends also. Okay, let's jump into the next aspect of, you already answered this question, Sriman Swamin, but also, can you go a little bit deep into that one? Who authored these 4,000 verses, and what was the purpose? I know you answered the first part of it. What was the purpose? Why do they have to, author? Why we have Srimad Ramayana, is Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Ramayana is there. All these texts are there. Vedas, Upanishads, so much is there. Why one more text? What is the purpose? And people often ask this kind of questions to me too. Could you please explore more on that one for me?
Yeah, like you said, I mean, if you look at Srimad Bhagavatam or Ramayana, the basic thing is Sanskrit, right? And we all
Yes.
know Sanskrit is like, scholarly people, right? And again,
Yeah.
there are degrees of learning in Ramayana. Whereas if you look at Tamil, it's more like, in Tamil you call it Pamaramakal, right? May not be that educated, but they know they can speak in Tamil, they can read in Tamil. So that
Mm,
is why this was actually, I won't say translation, it was like a complete kind of a recreation of all the Veda concepts, Purana concepts, everything into Tamil. So that,
mm,
it will make it like the very purpose of Perumal is to make, as many Jivatmas to get, salvation in this Janma. No, that is the objective. I mean, look from his point of view, right? We're not looking at, the hundreds and thousands. He's looking at, I mean, what do you call it, the entire population, like 7.9 billion. So he wants, if we can make them salvation, this Janma itself. His objective is we are the people who say, we don't want that, we don't have time for that, we'll do maybe after retirement, or I will do after all that. So we are the ones actually going away from Sampradaya, all these rich things that he has made available. And when over a period of time, he said, okay, if you don't want Sanskrit, I'll give it in Tamil. If you don't want it, I'll give you everything. He just makes it available. Again, we with the amount of effort he takes, we take 10 times efforts to go away from him and not again to go towards him. Okay. Now, I think you asked me a question a minute back, maybe I went off track. What is the recitation practice, right? So this
yes.
Divya Prabandham is not like, recited once in a while. It is actually recited every day. When you do Aradhanam, depending upon which matam you belong to, there are certain fundamental things you have to do. Like, after you start the Aradhanam, then you start with Tirupalland, which is Beperiyalvar. Then you start with the Tirupalli Ezhi. Because Tirupalland is like is mandatory Prabandham to be chanted regardless of what they are going to do, anything after that in Naalayira Divya Prabandham. So that is like the entry gate. Tirupalland, and then everything starts. So Aradhanam also you do first do Tirupalland, then because you're doing Aradhanam, you'll pick up Tirupalli Ezhi, which is basically Suprabhadam in Tamil. Okay, it's a very simple 10, 11 verses. You do that. So Tirupalli Ezhi is done by another Alvar, okay? And then we do Tirupalland.
Mm,
Tirupalland, Tirupalli, and then Tirupavai. Tirupavai, we all know, is by Andal, right? And there are 30 verses. So the 1, 2, 3 is mandatory. After
mm,
that, depending upon your lineage, like, you may be Swayamacharya, you may be Paragala Madam, you may be Madam, whatever Madam belong, there are some certain select pasurams, like,
mm,
for example, if I talk for Ahobili Madam, then we pick up our Ahobili Madam, the Dividesa Pasuram. Then you
mm.
got Kashayamade. Then you got this. So there are three. And then you switch over to Swami Desikan's Prabandhas. So this is a very standard structure for the Aradhana.
Okay.
Now, all these problems I mentioned, the practice is, for example, if you talk about Tirupallandu, there are 30 verses, right? We do actually the first 28 and then keep the 29 and 30, which is called Chittam Chirugale and Mankakadal. These two pasarams are always kept for Shatumare. The reason I'm talking about is even let's say people who do not know Divya Prabandham, they go into a Vaishnava temple. You know, in Seattle, right, Dr. Srinivas, we have got, you know, Bellevue, Redmond, there are so many Vaishnava temples. When you go there, after the evening thing, you know, when they do Shatumarai, I'm sure most of you might have listened to like two pasanams. You know, if it is the evening, they chanted some other pasanam, they will always retain two pasanam that day's chanting as the Chaturmurai. The idea is when people who come for the function, they would not have been had the time to participate in the previous, maybe say 1 hour long, 2 hours long, 3 hours program, but they may listen to Chaturmurai and say, hey, what is this? They're talking about Ulagamunda Peruvaya. Where does it come from, right? So we know, hey, this is Venkateswara Balaji temple, and they might have already chanted the Aram Pathu, and they reserved two. You know, see what do you call it, magnanimous or the goshti, right? We don't expect everybody to be a part of the goshti, but
Mm,
you know when they come for the tour, say, here's your, okay, come on, take the two persons, and then
mm.
go home and then start, you know, meditate Lord. You know, there's a lot of facilities for you. Look at YouTube channel, talk to your acharyas, understand. I heard this, you know, I mean, even a simple word. I heard this Tamil group talking about Ulagam Unda Peruvaya. From there, it becomes another huge, you know, I mean, to
Yeah.
whatever depth you want to take it, depth and width is all up to you. So that's what I've talked about the, what is the practice of chanting this pasurams.
Okay, wonderful. So I just want to simplify a couple of things, to our audiences, because who may be first time they are tuning into my Panchangam channel. It is a beautiful channel. It has tons of information, talks about so much of astrology, and also talk about actually anywhere in the world you can be able to calculate what tithi, what nakshatra, what is there, what is the Surya Grahana, Chandra Grahana, solar eclipse, and so on. What to do? So many documents are there uploaded in there, and so many information, so much of information is there, audio, video, information is there for people to access. So we cannot complain saying that when I don't have information. So our Panchangam group is trying to provide everything else that is possible for everybody else. So when Paddy Swamin has mentioned something called Bhagavad Aradhanam, right? So when he mentioned that, what that means is our duty is to pray to Bhagavan every day. 5 minutes, 5 minute jo ho, 10 minute jo ho, whatever that may be, anything that you can take out actually. So whatever your capacity, sometimes, like for example, I'm sure Padmanabhan Swami spends at least an hour, around half or 2 hours, but I spend every day an hour. Weekends I might spend couple of hours too, saying thank you to Bhagavan, saying that, oh Bhagavan, again this is going back to one more aspect I touch base is our duty is God has actually graced us, given us a beautiful this body and given so many things. So we always have to be thankful to him. We have to show gratitude to him. That is called Bhagavad Aradhana, means glorifying God. So that's what actually Tirupalani means, glories. Glories, we sing glories to God. And the second part, Suprabhatam, as we are waking up Bhagavan from his sleep and so on. Not that he will sleep, but that is our actually idea and the thought, the intention and so on. Then Tirupavai and so on. So I mean, these are all the chanted. When you are chanting all these things, you are calling it actually glorifying God. And finally, touch base that the Chatumare that beautifully as mentioned. One day I was chanting actually in the temple Niratam. Niratam is one of the things, when Krishna, Yashoda asked Krishna to come for a bath, he would not come at all. He always, Krishna is mischievous, right? And he always going running around here and there and so on. So she pleads him, she asks him with love and affection and so on. So I was chanting that when somebody was wondering, Swami, what is that when you all of a sudden from Vedam you switch to Sanskrit to you went to Tamil? What is that significance? When I explained the significance of that Niratam, oh my God, they were so, goosebumps came on their in their body, and they said that when tears are coming in my eyes, the way that you are explaining and so on. So this Naalayira Divya Prabandham is also like that. It's a nectar. It's a nectar, and that actually everyone has to taste it. So, Swami, did I say right? Okay, I'm just
Yeah,
looking at
you
you to
said
say.
it. Perfect, doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's excellent. So I would like to say, is there any blackout days when these prabandhams are not to be recited? The reason I ask this question is, I know from my practice, I understand that when, for example, if it is a Vedam, there are certain things they are prohibited. If you take, for example, Veda cannot be chanted on Amavasya, like Chaturdashi, Amavasya, Prathamadina after Amavasya, and Padhyam, and also Chaturdashi, Purnima, and as well as after Prathamadina and Ashtami. So these are all the days that are prohibited from recitation and so on. So can you talk to me more about now when are those days that we are not allowed to chant Prabandham and so on? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, doctor. So, like you said, the Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharvana Veda are not to be taught or recited on those days in a month.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, on the Tamil Veda, the restrictions comes on an annual basis. Okay,
Mm,
so for example, let's say we are already in the middle of the year. So I'll start say when Kartigai and Kartigai Purnami. Okay, and doctor, you can actually convert that into any other month you want. Basically, in Tamil, it is Kartigai Purnami. Kartigai normally, again, I'm going to approximately say it will happen between November 15th to December 15th. It could be a couple of days here and there. Around that day, Kartigi Purnami will fall. And up to that day, up to that day, we can chant. The next day after that, no Naalayira Divya Prabandham. Okay,
mm,
so that is called Anadhyana Kalam.
mm,
Because Adhyanam is means you practice, right? Anadhyanam means no chanting, no teaching, nothing.
mm,
Maybe in discourses and in other places, the collections, they may quote certain verses for for the explanations. But as a chanting, like if you go to temple, like I said, triple and triple H, Tripa will not be chanted. But
mm,
when Margari Masam, which is again, around December 15th, 16th, month of Margari will be born for 30 days, then only Tiruppavi will be chanted.
mm, mm,
Okay. And again, I'm talking about the temple practices and all that. And then again, temple to temple can vary, like Sri Lankan can follow. But the calendar is always same. Like I said, Kartigai Purnami to, Margari comes in and then comes Thai Masa. I'm talking Tamil month, okay? So in
mm,
Thai, there's a nakshatram called Hastam. And Thai Hastam is very, very important because that is our great Kurata Alvars nakshatra.
mm,
Okay.
yes,
So Kuratal Tirushatram, on that day, everybody, at home is supposed to start saying, "Ha, we got back our Naalayira Divya Prabandham,"
yes,
refreshed and say, "Come on, start using from today."
yes.
So that is how the practice is.
Okay, super. I because in Sanatana Dharma, why I can it makes sense to me because we have rules and regulations because rules and regulations give us discipline. When and what and how and where they matter. you know and those people for example, you have to get up early in the morning, you have to take a bath, and you have to eat at this time, you should eat this one, you should not eat this one, and so on. Those regulations are given for a particular reason. So the reason being that so that we can tap all that positive energy in the entire creation. We have pause, like from the food you get positive energy. You do not touch some of the foods that actually give negative energy to you. We call it the tamas and rajoguna, right? We've always wanted to have a sattvika guna. Again, going back to that one, what I mentioned was, as Swami was saying before, right? So we have to glorify God all the time, right? And thinking about Him. Without Him, we would not exist today at all. We cannot breathe, we cannot eat, we cannot. Hundreds of things are happening in our body, right? Activities knowingly or unknowingly. Even if we sleep also, when we sleep also, why it is happening? That is called actually prana shakti, means life. Bhagavan is antar bahishcha tatsa vyapya narayana stitaha. Sriman Narayana, Bhagavan is inside our body in the form of a prana shakti, and is making sure all this, the body and everything else is running automatically, autopilot and so on. That's why, as we said, why we say Tirupalandu. I'll just say one verse. I'm sure Padmanabhan sir might be able to correct me if at all I am wrong. Okay? Pallandu, Pallandu, Pallayirattandu, Palakoti Nooraayiram Mallandu, Tintodi Manivanna, Un Chevvadi Chevvidirkaapu, அடியோமோடும் நின்னோடும் பெருவென்றியாயிரம் பல்லாண்டு வடிவாய் நின்வலமார்பினில் வாழ்கின்ற மங்கையும் பல்லாண்டு வடிவாறு சோதி வரத்துறையும் சுரநாடியும் பல்லாண்டு படைப்போர் போக்குமுழங்கும் அப்பாஞ்ச சென்னியமும் பல்லாண்டு. What do you think, Padmanabhan Swami? Did I do okay?
Awesome, great, great. So let me explain a little bit about the
Yes.
deviation. Okay, so if you look at India,
Yeah.
there are so many temples. I mean, right from north all the way from thing all the way to south. But
Yes.
any temple where an Alvar has sung about, right? Srirangam, right?
Yes.
There are so many Alvars that have sung about Srirangam.
Mm.
Tirupati, Tirumalai, again, so many Alvars have sung about them. There are times only one Alvar might have sung about a particular Dividesam, but still Dividesam, correct? So if you look
Yes.
at the geography of India, right from starting Badri on the way up, pretty close to the sun, and on the Dwaraka on this side, and of course Tirumalai, and then there's a lot of concentration, like everyone Tamil Nadu, because all this all was from Tamil Nadu. And again, from Kerala, there are like 13 temples they have sung. So if you want, we can maybe have another session about Alvars, for like we go by Dividesam based. Today was about introducing a great Vedam called
Mm.
Naalayira Divya Prabandham, right?
Mm.
So maybe we'll have another session saying, okay, this Alvar sang about all these Dividesams.
Mm.
So but all that I want to say is, if a particular temple is sung by an Alvar, it will be called Divyadesam. So there are a total list is like 108, of which 106 are here in our planet Earth, and 107 is Tiruparkadal, and then 108 is Sri Vaikuntham.
Mm. And yeah, that's good that when you introduced us to the Divya Deshams. So, my friends, if you're listening about the Divya Deshams, Tirupati, the famous Tirupati is there, right? Tirumala, right? Balajika, right? That is a Divya Desham. And if you go to south, Chennai, close to, it's called Kanchipuram. And of course, first temple, Bhuloka Vaikundam, it is called Srirangam. If you happen to go to those places, take a look at those places. Badri, as Swami said, Badri also is that one too. And if you go to Devaprayag also, Raghunathji Mandir is there too. Okay. And Jyotirmat or Joshimat, you have Narasimha Bhagwan and a Krishna Bhagavan is there too. So Ram Mandir, of course, that is another Divya Desham too. So in that way, Naimisharanya, another Divya Desham also. So in that way, so many Divya Deshas are there. So what, all Vishnu Bhaktas, they're required to look at all these 106 temples, which are called Divya Deshams, that are in the north and as well as the south, and almost every part of Mahabharata or Bharat India. So that is why if you happen to see some Southeast coming there in the Southie traditions and so on, what are these people doing in the south, right, in Badri? I said it's because it is a mandatory that one they have to, if there is a possibility, they have to actually visit that one too. So that is the reason. So I mean, it was fascinating to get this introduction about Divya Prabandham, Sriman Padmanabhan Swami. As you said, next time in the next episode, what we are going to do is we are going to give our audience all about Divya Deshams, how many are there, what are those, and so on. They themselves can make a yatra. Some people maybe actually have a privilege of, they may have in their own backyard too, in a sense very close, in their own town or something like that, and they can be able to have darshanam. Wow, what a fascinating discussion with you. It was a real absolutely privilege and as well as an honor to have learned something and as well as put something together, for our audience too. Any final close and thoughts and something that you would like to share with our audiences, Sriman Padmanabhan Swami?
I would like to, like I said, start off with Taniyan, one more Taniyan for Swami Desikan. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunasaline Srimade Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha.
Dhanyasmi. Again, as usual, beautiful words. My viewers and my friends, please subscribe my Panchangam .com and this channel, and we will bring so many of these interactive sessions to learn about our Sanatana Dharma. As you are born as a Sanatana Dharmi in a Mahabharat, it's called actually Deva Bhumi, in that Bhumi, and we are all, it's our fundamental duty is to learn about who our gurus are, what did they give us, what kind of wealth they gave us in the name of these kind of scriptures and the knowledge that they have given is. And we all have to make an effort, set some time aside to learn about those things. Life is always, Joe say about this one, God did not send us to this earth to watch cricket or football or maybe soccer and have a cup of tea, have a pizza, have a party, this and that. That is, we need to take care of those things also, material thing that is important to it. But you must allocate some time getting knowledge about Bhagavan, our scriptures and so on too. So stay tuned for our next episode and to learn more and more about these topics. Dhanyosmi Sriman Padmanabhan Ramanayangar. It was absolutely a privilege to have talked to you. Look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you.
Jai Sriman Narayan. Jai Sriman Narayan.
Yes,
Asmat Guru Bhyo Namaha.
Guru.
Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.